Alright, so in this video we're going to be discussing private labeling or white labeling, right? It's basically, having your own brand name on your products or changing the entire product itself, customizing, and a whole lot you can do to make your product unique, right? It's what we call private labeling or white labeling. Okay, now if you are set to do this, then you want to look for manufacturers. Okay, we've talked about how you can find manufacturers in the previous videos. So you want to search for manufacturers. So let's say, for instance, you want to import a teeth whitening gel, right? So if we say teeth whitening, now I told you that you can also use import Yeti to find suppliers if you want to, right? And of course you can do that. You can also use Helium 10 to find out the types of vehicle or mechanism that people are purchasing the most. So maybe people are purchasing gummies more instead of capsules or teas, right? It gives you an idea of what you should look at bringing into the market, right? Now if you are speaking with a manufacturer and they don't have the product in the mechanism that you want, it might take more time to produce what you need, right? Because it's custom, it requires more customization, and you might have to pay even more to have that possible for you. Okay, now so you can see right here our search comes up, and we've talked about how you can narrow down into quality suppliers. Okay, so you want to narrow down to quality suppliers. So you can see here it says OEM for well-known brands, ODM. So they, of course, they do private labeling for a lot of brands who sell products like this, right? So obviously the TJ just letting you know that we can provide private labeling. Okay, so you want to make sure that now, even though you don't even see here, when you're communicating with them, you can always ask, right, if they can provide private labeling. Okay, and most of them will provide private labeling for you and even help you to design your labels for free. All right, but personally I don't give my design to them to do for free. I have my own designs done myself, because of course I know what I want my brand to look like. I know the colors that I want and all of that. We're going to talk about branding in the next video, right? And some of the things that you should look at when you're doing your branding. Okay, so that is what you want to do. Okay, search for suppliers, interact with suppliers, let them know that you want to do private labeling. And you need to understand as well that if you're changing the packaging, for instance, they have to create unique molds for you. It's going to cost you more to have all of that done. Okay, now if you are getting started and you're requesting for samples, you're concerned about the quality, which of course we've already talked about how you can make sure that you're working with suppliers that are quality compliant, right? You want to ask for certain certifications, certain licenses, license to ship to the EU regions. Suppliers that can ship to the EU regions, obviously they are concerned about quality and their product of good quality. And of course, when you're negotiating with these suppliers, you don't want to push for lower prices, because if you keep pushing for lower prices, they are going to compromise the quality of the product. And you don't want to bring in product that you have to deal with returns and people not being satisfied in the long run. You want to build a brand, a sustainable brand, so you want to build it on quality products. All right, So these are some of the things that you need to know, and there is nothing you cannot private label. All right. um, there are settings. So if you are, bringing in maybe gadgets, right, they can do in printing for you. All right. So they print your, what's it called now, your logo or your brand name on the product. Is it a toy, clothing? They can do all of that for you. So for instance, if you are doing maybe what you're buying is a gadget, for instance, right, you can use, there is a certain type of printer that they can use for you. So if they cannot do it there for you, it's going to require them to charge you even more. You can just tell them to have it shipped down plain, right, without name, and you can do the printing yourself here. That is if you found out that it's easier to do the printing yourself. So this is this inkjet printer that you can use to print your names on almost anything, right? Woods, metals, almost anything. So things like the toys, things like gadgets that will require you to imprint your logo and your name, your brand name on them. You can use a product like this. This product, it costs around $100. Now, at the beginning, you might not be able to invest in this, but if you can invest in this, then of course you can invest in this and use this for your own printing. So you just get the products plain from the manufacturer, and yeah, they're going to do that for you, right? If it's going to cost you more to have them do it, just go ahead and tell them to bring it plain, have it done here. For those of you who are going to be doing private labeling for bottles, for supplements, you can have your products, your brand name and your logos designed using their in-house designers. But like I said, I don't like using them. I prefer doing it myself, right? So private labeling really isn't that much complicated, right? It's just straightforward. It's just how it is. You want to ensure that you are dealing directly with the manufacturers and people who can help you to do this, right? And of course, if you're sourcing locally, you can easily find local manufacturers depending on what you're sourcing for. There are certain things you source for that you might not see locally, right? If you are in need of maybe a local manufacturer and there's something that you want, you can always ask in the support group, and I will see what I can find for you, right? But of course, there are manufacturers in the beauty brand, in the beauty industry, the health, and across different industries, even in Nigeria, right? And of course, if you are outside of Nigeria, I believe you should be able to find manufacturers. But if you can find manufacturers, you can always, in your locale, you can always import whatever you want and have it branded in your own unique name, right from China, right? If you have any questions regarding this, all you just have to do is ask in the support group, and of course you get the required help that you need, right? So in your negotiation, you always want to bring up the topic of if they can do private labeling for you, and yes, many of the manufacturers can do that for you, and of course they can do as low as 100 pieces, right, for you. Some of them can go a little bit lower, okay, and of course you can decide to request for samples first, but of course samples won't do private labeling for you if you're doing samples. And we've said that you can always ask them to deduct the cost of the sample from when you're doing your bulk order, right? So that's it. In the next video we'll talk about branding and choosing colors. You want to have, like, what goes into your branding, what should you consider, what should you look out for, right? So we'll talk about that in the next video.